Everyone, I just wanted to first introduce myself. I am Shannon Pringle, the IIDA PA Delaware, New Jersey chapter Vice President of Sponsorship. And I wanted to first thank all of our benefactors from this past year, but specifically this event is to thank all of our top benefactors, which include Sherwin-Williams, Foyer, Technion, Material Bank, and Mohawk. So thank you to all of you for being our top benefactors this year. And I just wanted to roll right into how your contribution benefits our chapter each year. And so all of our events, including Product Parade, IIDA annual retreats, it also benefits our the funding of student initiatives, advocacy, professional development, and more. And I just wanted to quickly introduce this coming year benefactor package for 2021, the Year of Hope and Humanity. So during this trying time that we are all experiencing, not just in our careers as designers and design professionals, but also in our personal lives, our chapter is here to support all of you. It is our mission to be the backbone of the profession of interior design and to support our members' ongoing professional development. Your contribution has the power to help enhance our continuing involvement and bring support to the A&D community. So thank you again for your contribution. And I just wanted to show a couple of highlights from some events that we have been able to have this year. Including the pop-up product parade that we had this past fall in New Jersey, held outside and safely distanced, as you can see. That was a really great event. It went really well, and I think it was very well received. Many people did show up for that, so that was a great experience. And I think it would actually be something we might think about for the future as well. We also had our virtual student competition this past spring, which had a really great raffle and really great raffle prizes. And then I just wanted to quickly just show you our categories for this year have changed quite a bit. This year, we are really going to be focusing more on marketing and the opportunities that we can offer to our benefactors through marketing. And as you can see, the pricing levels are quite different this year, and we're hoping that that will encourage more people, more companies, including design firms, to become benefactors. And without further ado, I wanted to introduce our keynote speaker, Monet Redmond. She's the Director of Member Services at the IIDA headquarters in Chicago. And I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen really quickly. And so Monet comes from a real estate background, but she's decided to cross over into the interior design world. And so I just wanted to give her a hand and give her the stage.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Shannon, for having me here today. I'm very excited to be here and see all of your faces. So I'll get started. My name is Monet Redmond. I'm the Director of Member Services at IIDA headquarters. And here with me, I have my colleagues, Ryan Ben, he's the Director of Association Experience. And I also have John Sarnecki. He is the Deputy Director and Senior Vice President at IIDA. So I'm pretty sure you guys know John and Ben, and they'll be available to assist with the Q&A portion after my presentation. So next, Shannon already did it, but I want to also thank all of the benefactors. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for your amazing contributions to the industry. We are honoring you today. We're here to celebrate you, recognize your gracious efforts, and contributions to the advancement of the interior design industry. So thank you so much for everything that you do. I would like to start my presentation with a serious question. Has anyone ever told you that you couldn't do something? Take a few moments and imagine that moment and how that person may have made you feel. Did it make you feel sad, angry, confused, determined, or discouraged? I'm sure you may have felt all of those emotions or a combination of a few. Since I started my role at IIDA, so many people have asked me, how did I manage to make such a huge career move during the pandemic? My answer is simple, and I will tell you my journey of how I overcame adversities to get to where I am today. So I faced a difficult childhood. I had difficult times growing up. I didn't have a typical childhood. I didn't have a typical household. Both of my mom and my dad were drug addicts, and I grew up in the foster care system as a result of that. So I lived with different family members. I changed schools frequently. No stability, no understanding of why my mom wasn't able to take care of me and my younger two siblings. I won't get too deep into my background, but just know I faced a lot of hardship during the most delicate years of my life. The first 12 years of my life, I faced the unknown. By the time I became an adult, I craved three things, and that's stability, love, and success. I never wanted to be without a home, without money, and without loved ones. I've always worked a job ever since I was 15, and I've always been in school constantly learning new things. Speaking of jobs, in 2008, I started working at the Chicago Association of Realtors. There were about 11,000 members when I first started. By the time I left, there were about 15,500 members. I gained experience in membership, professional development, volunteer management, and professional standards. I love the real estate industry so much that I decided to study it in grad school. I learned about commercial real estate development, zoning, design, and feasibility. I love those courses in addition to the executive courses for my MBA. In 2018, I completed my degree program, and I was actually 8 months pregnant at the time. I also completed my managing broker licensing course during that same month. So I was a very busy pregnant person. I was so ready to start my new life as a mom, but I was also craving more in my career. You may be wondering, why was this woman thinking of advancing her career after giving birth? Well, something happened that year. I was truly and deeply inspired. That same year, 2018, the CEO of the Chicago Association of Realtors retired. She was a wonderful powerhouse of a woman, very well respected in the real estate industry. We were very sad to see her go, but we were even more fearful of the unknown. Who will be our next CEO? Who will be the next leader of our association? The day they announced the person that was chosen, the entire staff sat in the boardroom. Me personally, I was very nonchalant. I did not expect to see anything different from the norm. You know, I'm just like, I'm ready for whatever. To everyone's surprise, the Chicago Association of Realtors selected their first African-American CEO, Michelle Mills Clement. Now, as a little Black girl who didn't have a lot of, Black women to look up to as growing up, I never imagined seeing someone like me in that prestigious seat, and it instantly motivated me to do more. Michelle, a new mom herself, instantly became a sponsor and a mentor to me. She pushed me to my limits and out of my comfort zones. She introduced me to Association Forum and ASAE, which are the associations for association professionals. Pushed me to get involved with those associations so that I can learn more about my craft. So she would tell me, Monet, write out your accomplishments, update your resume. You've done a lot for CAR and you need to be recognized. She made me believe in myself. So I never knew writing out your accomplishments was such a powerful tool. I had no idea of everything that I had accomplished until I actually wrote them down. It took for Michelle to help me to realize that I had been in the same position for 7 years. I was so comfortable and in love with what I did for a living that I didn't realize that I had stayed in the same place for so long. So In 2019, after I returned from maternity leave, I had a plan. I stepped out of my comfort zone and applied for the 40 Under 40 award with Association Forum. I told myself, if I don't win, I'll apply every single year until I turn 40. So I applied, and a few months later, I was announced as a winner. It was a pivotal moment in my career. Oops. It was a pivotal moment in my career. And it was just confirmation that everything that I had done was substantial enough in the association world to be recognized for this award. So it was just confirmation of everything that I had already thought that I had accomplished. So this is me receiving my award. That's Michelle next to me to the right. She was by my side the whole time and rooting for me. And then it's ironic that the CEO of Association Forum is also, her name is also Michelle. So get you a Michelle in your life because they are amazing. So yeah, that was the Association Forum 40 Under 40 ceremony. So 2019 was incredible and I was so ready for 2020. But then the pandemic hit. So now it's 2020, the world is upside down. COVID-19, George Floyd was murdered that same year when everything was locked down, protests, riots all over the country, so much is happening. Also in the midst of all this chaos, people are losing their jobs, the market is crashing and suffering. How do you stay inspired when the world is in dismay? How do you stay inspired when people are literally losing their lives around you? I managed to, even though people lost hope, a lot of people lost hope during this time, which is extremely understandable, but I managed to focus on my advancement. I had a plan for 2020 and I was gonna make sure that I achieved my goals. I felt super comfortable in my position at CAR. I made all these accomplishments and it was just time for a change. So after all of that, after everything that I had accomplished in 2019, I was still being turned down for a promotion. That person told me that it was due to COVID, but they really made me feel like I wasn't worth the risk. That is the moment that I asked you all about earlier. How did it make you feel when someone told you that you were not ready or you couldn't do something? For me, it made me feel determined to prove them wrong. So I decided to step out on faith. I hadn't applied for an outside position in over a decade, so I had no idea what I was doing, but I told myself I wouldn't just apply for any position. It would have to be a perfect match for me. It would have to align with my interest and my background, and I want to come to work every day and love what I do. So when the Director of Member Services role came up, I texted my best friend instantly. I'm like, girl, this is my dream job. I have to apply for this. So I applied. During the interview process, I told myself I would be my authentic self. I would lay all my weaknesses and my strengths out on the table, take me as I am. So I want to thank John and Ryan and Cheryl and Lisa because they saw something in me and decided to choose me over the other candidates. And I guess they liked me because here I am. And now I have this amazing opportunity to speak to you all today. Once I announced my new position on my social media accounts, specifically LinkedIn, I received so much support. Like, look at these statistics, 53,000 views, over 1,500 reactions, and over 200 comments. This just shows you that you never know who's watching you, you never know who's rooting for you, and you never know who's praying for you to win. So this was another pivotal moment. Even though it was just a post, this post went viral and so many people were able to reach out to me and support me and ask me about my story. And that's why I'm here today as well. So I want to encourage you all to just go for it. If you feel complacent or stuck, if you feel like you're not enough, if you feel like you're not qualified, go for it anyway. Studies show that a man will go and apply for a job that he's 50% qualified for, while a woman will be 80% qualified for it and she won't apply. We have to change that. We have to change that, you guys. I know I have men in the audience, but I'm speaking to my ladies right now. We need to have confidence in ourselves to go for what we want. Okay, and these are a few tips that I learned over the years. Make sure you set goals for yourself and hold yourself accountable. Write down your accomplishments. That is so powerful. Like, make sure you update your resume continuously so that you keep track of everything that you're doing, everything that you're accomplishing as you go. Don't get comfortable. Earn certifications and licenses. If you haven't received your NCIDQ certification, make that a goal if that's something that you really want to accomplish. Study, and we have study tools for you and tuition reimbursement. Find friends in your industry. It may seem simple, but once I started opening up more at CAR, I formed a bond with some ladies that are the same age as me, have the same ambitions as me, and they root for me and they push me to my limits as well. And they're here today. They're not even in the design industry, but they were like, they heard I was speaking and like, we're coming to support you. So sorry to shout you guys out, but they're here. But get you some friends in the industry. Each year you should have something to brag about. I remember I took a year off from school while working at CAR. I'm like, I'm just going to be lazy this year, relax, have fun. I look back on that year and I'm like, Mona, you didn't do anything. Like, make sure, I told myself I would never let a year go by like that, whether it's a personal goal or a professional goal, whether it's to lose weight or whatever it is. Set a goal and accomplish it, at least one per year. Build your network, be authentic, and find mentors. When Michelle came into my life, I had mentors already, but she was just, for some reason, she was just special. She changed my life forever. And I want to give you guys a little bit more information about what the difference is between a mentor and a sponsor. A mentor will talk with you, guide you, and lead you to where you want to be. A sponsor will talk about you when you aren't in the room, and they will advocate for you. Most times your mentor can become your sponsor, but both are essential to your career growth because you just never know who's able to uplift you even when you're not even there. Also use IIDA to help you excel in your career. Join our mentorship program, whether you will be a mentor or a mentee. Earn awards to boost your career. Utilize the Career Center. Enter a design competition and get recognized for your hard work and dedication. Join your local or international board at some point in your career. You'll learn so much being like working on a board. You can ask Shannon or Alexandra or Julian. I'm pretty sure that you guys can attest to how much your career changed while you became involved with the board. Also apply for College of Fellows, you guys. This is the highest and most prestigious honor that IIDA bestows. And I feel like towards the end of your career, you should definitely, or the middle of your career, you should definitely apply for that amazing, prestigious honor. And then this is just information about when the award and board of director nominations will open. So jot these dates down so that if you're interested, if you're ready to go for it this year and win an award, this is your time to do so. And then my key takeaways for today is simply believe in yourself, step out on faith, overcome obstacles, do not let them defeat you. Get involved with your association like I got involved with Association Forum. My career made a complete change once I did that. Find a mentor or sponsor or become a mentor or sponsor. If you're at the end of your career and you're very well established in your career and you're ready to give back, be who Michelle was to me so that you can help the next generation get to where they want to be. And that completes my speech, and we are ready for the Q&A portion. So if you have any questions for me, or if you have any questions for IIDA headquarters, we are open for questions right now. Thank you all for listening to my speech. I hope I encouraged someone today.
Yes, thank you so much, Monet. That was really great and very inspiring for all of us. And I wish you well in the future with IIDA. I can't wait to see what you guys are going to do in the very near future. And hopefully the next event that we have, we can all be together in a room, even if it's social distance, but hopefully in the very near future, we'll be able to all be together in networking events. So thank you.
I hope so. Thank you.
And please, if you have questions, just come off mute and throw them in there. No need to be formal and drop them in the chat. This should feel like a conversation. Well, I'll fill the awkward silence and just saying, like when you first asked if anyone ever think of a time when someone like doubted you, I came off mute. I was ready to answer. I was like, oh wait, she means hypothetically. Okay, let me just go back on mute. So we definitely appreciate your transparency.
Yeah.
Definitely appreciate your transparency and just it never gets old to be reminded to have faith in yourself and to push yourself beyond what the expectations are around you. So I just really appreciate you reminding us all of that today.
No problem. Does anyone have a story where someone told you that you couldn't do something and you're just like, okay, forget them?
Monet, I don't have a story right now, at least. I mean, but I just want to comment to you that I think it takes a lot of bravery and guts to come to a group of folks. I know you said you had colleagues that are here to support you, but other strangers, and really share your story. I think it's inspiring. And I would love to see, I'm just curious if you go and speak to programs at schools, because I think it's just really very much an inspiration. And thank you for sharing this.
Thank you. That's something that's on my to-do list. My goal for 2020 was to master public speaking so that I would be able to get on a stage or, do more Zoom calls. And I always wanted to give back to foster children who have been in the system and they're dealing with what I had to deal with as a child. So thank you for bringing that up. And I also knew that, I also found out recently that I shouldn't be afraid of my story, afraid of sharing my story, because there's always someone who has went through what I went through, and they'll need to hear this to inspire them to rise above it. So
exactly.
No, I so agree with that too. Sometimes I think that we feel like no one can relate to our story, but there's hundreds of millions of people just in our country that are dealing with the same thing. And I think, just like what Deb said, that it would reach the younger designers that are coming into our profession. At the IIDA, especially with our chapter, we have talked about that quite a bit. For when COVID is over, how can we reach out to our local communities and help those that might not have heard about design? Just think about the opportunity or the idea of becoming an interior designer or an architect and how they can get there. And it's like you said, by having a mentor, by having someone who's there in your corner that can, give you the advice and the uplift that you need in order to achieve your dream.
Especially after something like COVID, where all of the aspiring designers who have to go through different barriers for entry, COVID's just going to be another big one where it's, it's going to be affecting families' financing to be able to send their kids away to school and things like that. And I think if we're doing more outreach to show them all the different ways that this is possible, like all the different scholarships that IIDA offers, and things like that, us doing that outreach is important.
I think it's interesting that you were 8 months pregnant when you said that you decided to change careers. That is definitely something that I always fear for the future. Like, how can I do both? Oh my God.
Yes, and I was scared to speak today because my son, he's still asleep, thank God. So it's a good thing that this was so early. I'm like, Shannon, can I just record it because he's gonna be walking around?
We want to see that, okay? We want to see everyone's dogs. Just like Kristen said, she was feeding the kids before she got on this call. It's okay.
Yeah, thank
Monet,
you.
I wanted to say something too. Deb, I'm so glad that you brought it up just about, sharing your story. But I think, for all of us, on the call, especially women, it's important. I was on a panel discussion the other day where it talked about how we notice, and Deb being a principal, I'm sure you noticed, like, in 2008, 2007, to now, you know, we missed, there's a chunk of designers missing, a chunk of women, and, you know, that would be in those higher roles right now, and it's missing. And the whole conversation was about, is COVID going to do that? Because now we're back at home, and is it the mom that's supposed to stay home when the dad has to, you know, gets to go to the office, or during COVID? So are we going to have that same block again, where people just feel they're, well, I'm just supposed to stay home? And are we going to have that void of executive women in our field? So I encourage everybody to, you know, to talk and be a mentor, you know, to just encourage people to keep doing what we're doing.
Please do. And companies are understanding, just like you guys are understanding today of the fact that my child could have been walking around. And, you know, so I want women to not let that defeat you. It gets very hard, and Ryan knows as well, because he's a new dad. It can get very hard, but take that time to rest and recharge and regroup yourself when you need to. Don't push yourself too far in your work, because we love what we do so much, and sometimes we, you know, you feel guilty about, oh, maybe I'm neglecting my family. But come up with a schedule, make sure you have family time, and make sure you have time to work as well, and just find that balance. And that'll really help you. And like Kirsten said, like we can't let women leave the workforce, and because we work so hard to get to these leadership positions, you know, so we have to keep at it.
And I think, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Can I ask a question of Monet? When you were telling your story, you know, what, during your teen years, when you were, you know, you obviously had a lot of obstacles in your younger childhood, you know, what kept you motivated, particularly in your teen years prior to you meeting your mentor?
My teen years were rough. I rebelled against, because by the time I was 12, my mom got custody of us again. So I kind of rebelled against my mom because I didn't really understand what I went through as a kid. So I just knew what motivated me was that I knew once I became an adult, I did not want to go through that or have my children go through that. So once I started going to school, mentors just came, you know, just came. While working at CAR, there was someone who pushed me to go to grad school. Like, I never imagined myself getting a master's degree. Like, that was something, no one in my family has one. And I was just, you know, it was just something that wasn't on my mind at all. But that person pushed me to go to grad school. So it's just different people come into your life. And I think I don't think it's a coincidence that certain people come into your life. I think it's meant for those people to cross your path. But to answer your question about what motivated me as a teen, I think it was not wanting to not go without, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't want to not have anything, so pushed me to go to college.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think one of the things that's also really important, and you inspired, is to not only find a mentor, but be a mentor. And I think, you know, with enough of us, you know, I'm looking around the room to the people who I know, and we've broken the ice and gotten where we need to go. But it's really making sure that you're looking out for the younger people who are really going to struggle, especially in this uncertain economy and uncertain time. And just make sure that you're kind of, you know, either directly or indirectly serving as a mentor to other people.
Please do. It's a good point.
Any other questions?
Oh, I see all the comments. You guys are amazing. Nakia, you want to tell us about, no, I won't put you on the spot. Sorry, Nakia.
Too late. You kind of already.
I know, right? Because now I want to know what she's going to say.
It's okay.
So tell us how I may have motivated you. And Nakia is older than me, and we were working at CAR together. She inspired me to fit, like, we were in our last semesters of grad school, and we were going through it, and we had to push each other together. And that's why I said, find friends in your industry, people that are doing the same things that you are doing. And that's like a different type of friendship, because you're able to talk, like for you guys, you're able to talk about design, you're able to talk about the color of the paint in your house, and other people are like, yeah, oh my God, I love that. So find people in your industry that can relate to you. And that's what my friends on the call are to me. Like we relate to each other on so many levels.
I also feel like I've recently felt inspired by Instagram and the designers that are on Instagram. People that I hadn't heard before. When I decided to be a judge for Frame Magazine, once I knew about Frame Magazine, I started researching what other related fields or related companies to frame there were out there, because I wanted to, even though I can't travel right now, I still want to be inspired by what's out in the world in the design field. How are we designing around the world, not just in the US? And so I kind of made that my my project, I guess, for this year, of like, instead of just, you know, being friends with the people I know on Instagram, reaching out to other designers in our country and also around the world, and just being inspired by them. Well, I don't like the awkward silence. Alex, you talk. Now, you know, you always got something to say.
I'm just trying to be here and to absorb as much as I can from everyone else, and to just really, you know, reflect and encourage other ones to talk other than myself. Shannon, thank you very much.
So
Kudos to Derek for talking as the only man who spoke up. Just saying, Ryan and Fred.
I thought it was great. It was very inspiring. Thank you. And I agree with you. I think people that I work with, and especially women that work with me or on my team, I always tell them, you know, ask for it. Don't be shy. And I think that was a really good point, because I believe that in a lot of people. And I try to encourage the women that work with me to just ask. Everyone just should ask.
That's true, Fred, because it's kind of funny. Derek just went off screen, but when I went for an interview to work for Bernardin, I felt like I didn't have the experience to go work there. I was like, oh, I'm kind of missing a year, I think. They're asking for 8 and I only have 7. But like what you were saying, Monet, I think that we're qualified and we don't even realize it. We think that 1 year makes so much of a difference. But I kind of did like what you said. I went for it anyway. I was like, well, the only thing they can do is say no, right?
Exactly.
That was actually a really interesting statistic. And I think it ties in with what Kristen said, because I read, maybe it was about a week ago, there was an article about how it's women taking the major loss right now, because so often in the roles with childcare, it tends to be more women than men that are stepping away from their jobs to care for the children. So it will be, to Kristen's point, there definitely, I've seen over the years, those gaps in a recession where, wow, we're missing a chunk of people. So now if we're going to be missing a chunk of designers, and many of them women, it'll be a sad state. So hopefully we'll be able to keep everybody engaged and connected. I'm curious.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm curious because we were having a roundtable and having this conversation, and we're promoting this conversation even with our own organization of, does IIDA, for the 2021 strategic goals or plans, are there any thoughts on a national level of maintaining engagement with designers during this pandemic time, which is so unprecedented?
Yes, absolutely. Ryan and I are now planning the CLC for February, and we have topics like that to discuss for sure, especially like a State of the Union where we address the current climate of interior design. We are looking to you guys to give us input as well on what you want to see us talk about. So feel free to email me and Ryan and let us know what topics you really want to see us present. And we'll also send out a survey. I'm not sure exactly when, but probably next month, right, Ryan? We're sending out a survey to you guys to find out what your thoughts are on what we would like to present, what we should present to you guys, and what topics you're interested in, especially training and professional development topics as well.
Yeah, and we're reimagining the mentoring program this year to hopefully expand it and include more people, probably include emerging professionals, not just students, trying to connect as many people as possible and hopefully provide as many resources for them to stay connected this year. And to Monet's points, I think she's done a really, really great job this morning of kind of representing the direction of where we're aiming as a headquarters. But there really are 25 of us who work there that are like real humans who really answer the phones and really send emails back. We really do want to hear from all of you. We can't necessarily do everything, but we're really trying. So Deb, to your point, if that's an idea you have and you think there's a way for us to do that from headquarters, I would love to jump on a phone call for 30 minutes and hear more about that. Anybody else on this call who has ideas like that, ways we can support you, just let us know. Monet and I are trying really, really hard to take those 3 to 5 extra steps out from our bubble to meet everybody where they are. So let us know where we can do that and how we can do that. We really, really want to.
Awesome, that's great.
I just want to kind of make a few comments about mentorship specifically, and my thoughts on it for the last couple years. I work at a firm that has really, really values mentorship and ostensibly, wants to pour a lot of effort and time and connections and all the things you could think of. And one of the things I've really noticed in the last couple of years is that I do think there's a large gap in the way that people as established professionals are able to or willing to relate to people just out of school. So not really the student mentorship, but really that young, really, really young professional mentorship. I see there being kind of a gap. And some of the things I've noticed over the last few years is just, there's a huge difference, as we all know, between a 22-year-old now and a 22-year-old 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And I have noticed sometimes that the ways that we may try to relate to them miss the mark for whatever reason, or, they may not see what you're doing as mentorship, or they may not receive what you're trying to show them as mentorship, or there may be something missing there. And I have noticed that there is, it's just kind of funny, and I don't know if that's just my personal experience, but, I feel like we're reaching out over and over and over again. And sometimes, they're not hearing it for whatever reason, or they're not seeing it as helpful, or they're, and one of the things I have noticed is like this need to say things you may not think you had to say, and say things more explicitly than you ever thought you needed to say them. I found myself doing a lot in the last few years, talking to really young designers and just saying things like, you're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to not like your job sometimes. You're allowed to feel like you made a bad decision. You're allowed, like just really basic stuff that I think a lot of people don't hear. And they come in and they think that they're supposed to be doing such a perfect job. And if they're not doing that perfect job, and you're not telling them like over and over again that it's okay to want to change your mind, that it's okay to make an opinion and somebody disagrees. Like just that simple fact of saying, I'm going to disagree with you. People are going to disagree with you every day, the rest of your life. That is design, but it's okay. It doesn't mean you failed. And I think a lot about those conversations that I've had and then like having follow-ups and being like, what did you appreciate best about your time? And they're like, it's the person that sat down and like really made me feel okay about all the things that I was doing. I think that there's kind of a feeling sometimes that, I don't know, it's just interesting and trying on my part to really listen to what makes sense to a 23-year-old now and what they need to hear and what they want to hear. So again, these are just kind of just general thoughts that I've had, but it is kind of a shame because I do see we had a few designers in the last couple of years that they're like, okay, design wasn't what I thought it was. Well, I don't know what you thought it was. And I want to make it what will be inspiring to you, but I also need to be realistic about what you're going to have to accomplish and what you're going to have to work on and the skills that you need to develop to be successful. And they may not be the skills that you thought you needed to develop. And just that kind of two-way conversation with younger designers, not so much students. And just to kind of close up on my personal thoughts, I had a long conversation with a woman in our firm who's actually the BIM manager, but she has an architecture background and she is very involved with
kind of educational standards and that conversation. And she let me know there was a big shift in the way that designers are educated now, and that there's kind of an assumption that a firm will pick up a lot of that design work and a lot of that detail work, specifically around detailing. And just to understand that students are not prepared the same way they were 20 years ago, and they're not coming into the workforce with the same types of skills. And some of that is good and some of that is struggling. And, you know, just that kind of conversation. I feel like there's a lot more there than maybe we've realized. So that's it. I'll just be quiet now, but.
No, I think you actually make a really good point, Lauren, because I feel like some of what you're saying, I feel like I've experienced throughout my career. I feel like I'm like at that midpoint of my career where it's like looking back and all the things that I've had to learn out of college. The things that I learned in college were inspiring for me, but when I got into the workforce, you know, what was it like? How did I deal with things? And like you're saying, how are 22-year-olds dealing with it now? And I think specifically this year, when I got out of college, we had a recession, but this is a totally different animal. And how are they dealing with this during a pandemic? And if they have a job, how are they dealing with it? Because I think that, I don't know about anyone else, but maybe for me, I would say that working from home is a little bit more comfortable because I don't need as much assistance. But what about that 22-year-old that's just out of school? You know, how are they getting the assistance they need to be a better designer?
Yeah, I worry about that a lot. I feel like when I was similar, I graduated right when the recession hit, and my mentors were people that I sat next to and really like taught me and showed me and were really great just being adjacent, you know, and that lack of adjacency, I'm nervous for our junior designers, and I try to check up on them as much as I can, but there's something to be said for like existing adjacent to someone or listening in and learning just from how they're talking to people or engaging themselves. So I think it's a great conversation. I think that's something that we have to figure out how to do, but you know, in this new world that we're in.
Yeah. It actually gives me the idea, Alex, for a coffee talk, that it could be a really good topic to go over. I know that it's been talked about before, but maybe more in depth, like how are younger designers managing working from home right now?
Yeah, I mean, and I think I do want to bridge that connection to people who are students and still in school right now, because I sat in some crits this week for Philly U, Jefferson, whatever name you want to call it, and they, like, you can tell that the students are struggling working like in schooling remotely. I can't imagine it personally if that were me, because the level of motivation, self-motivation as a professional is going to be completely different as a student. Like where are you getting that motivation from if you're working in an isolated space and you don't have the energy of the studio, or it seems like there's professors that aren't necessarily finding a way to be as engaged with everyone being remote. So I think if there's an opportunity for us as a chapter to foster a coffee talk conversation and include professors or people who work as adjunct professors and advisors in schools in that conversation, I think there's a lot to be said there, because I also know design programs are suffering. They're already seeing students who can't continue to come to the program for whatever reasons, financial, personal, blah, blah, blah. And when students are there, how do we ensure that they are getting the most out of their education so that they are able to graduate and be successful or to move towards a successful career? And they aren't just like being pushed along, because I also heard, and this is whatever it is, but professors are being encouraged to not fail students because enrollment is so low. So you're like passing along people who aren't necessarily succeeding, and that's not setting them up for any sort of career platform either. So I think it's a big conversation, and I think we have a lot of amazing leaders and thought havers, thinkers, whatever. Like, there's a lot of great people here in this room that could help to contribute to the conversation and come up with some real tangible ways to help, because it is mentorship and it's about taking time to sit in on virtual desk crits or just like have virtual coffee with someone who's a student and try to dig into their brains a little bit and give them a more exposure. And this is not for just designers, this is for manufacturers reps as well. It's all about giving exposure to them while they're students so we can help them to manage their expectations when they're out in the real world and help them to stay inspired and just resilient, which is ironic because we're all design professionals, we're all familiar with like resilient floors. I kept writing down terms like resiliency. So it's all about this like level of resiliency and how Monet has experienced a lot of resiliency in her life and her career. And we can all just really embrace that concept for how we can make it through this year. Because here we are Friday, we made it through this week. It's almost December. We are almost out of this year, but just like coming back to inspiring ourselves and relying on each other for additional inspiration to continue to cultivate this resiliency. And it's kind of up to us in these spaces here to help to bring up that next generation, to do what we can to try to not have such a gap. And that's not just a gap in people, it's a gap in skills, it's a gap in expectations as well. So yes, I would love to talk about that, Shannon, coming up with another platform to foster those conversations.
I had one more just thought to add to what you were saying about kind of contributing at the education level. A friend of mine is teaching a design studio, and she tends to bring in a lot of her colleagues because she needs the additional help to give that face-to-face contact with the students and feedback while they're working on their projects, and not just at a mid-crit and an end jury, but on a week-to-week basis. And I think she feels that that connection is helping the students build their network, right, and hear a perspective from different people, because we all as professionals bring different experience to the table. So I wonder if IIDA could kind of find a way to support the educators and find volunteers to participate, and maybe that would be a good new way of supporting students as well, not just a singular mentor day, like we all have people come in the office. Just a suggestion, but.
No, Danielle, that's a really, really good suggestion. I have already worked with several campus centers who have had that exact same request. And not the only, but one of the good things about right now is I can connect them with someone on our international board. I can connect them with someone from this chapter, even if they're in another chapter. So again, to everybody on the call, and Danielle, feel free to connect me with this educator specifically, but that is, I think that is where we're shining right now, that interconnectivity among all of our chapter leaders, among all of our members. I think that is something we're doing really well and can keep doing better. But I would be honored to help that person out with connecting them with some professionals who maybe have specific experience specific to their studio or their project or anything like that. That's something we can do, and I would be happy to do it.
You know, I think that something else that the students would really appreciate is building a network and having people to reach out to, even when they graduate, when they complete school, or when they're looking for internships. I think in this virtual environment, it's very difficult to find opportunities, but given that it's virtual, you don't necessarily need to live in the city where you intern. So it could be a way to expand your connections that way too. And you know, you don't lose those contacts. They become your LinkedIn contacts that when you do graduate and you're ready to find a job, it could be a great resource for them.
Yeah, I love that idea. I've been at IIDA for almost 10 years, and I would say the 9.5 before the pandemic, I watched how wonderful our professional members and associate members would turn around and pull someone up with them and would help them and would mentor in that way. And I think the pandemic has completely changed that relationship to be everybody is even right now. Everybody is looking at each other going, hey, I've never done this either. This is brand new to me. And when I watch professionals and students have those honest conversations about what resiliency looks like now and how it doesn't look the same as it did 9 months ago, I think a lot of those connections are happening. And I think that we can do a better job and keep doing a better job of like making platforms, events, and programs that help with the more specific moments like internships, job opportunities, these mentorships. But I think having really authentic, honest conversations about how this is affecting everybody, those have been very powerful programs that I've gotten a chance to see. And I think that those moments really help students understand how holistic and personal this profession is, and then feel comfortable to reach out to someone like you, Danielle, or someone else on this call and be like, hey, thank you for saying that. I feel like I'm going crazy here. Like I thought that this was only happening to me, but it's happening to everybody. So I want to say, I just really appreciate your comments. I think they're really, really valuable.
And just for a quick shameless plug for our chapter, we're actually in the process of working on a more sustainable student mentor program. Program doesn't feel like the right word, but like I definitely see what you're saying, Danielle, when we do these things, or like even now being here in this group and having these wonderful conversation and these great ideas, making sure that we actually follow through and take next steps with that and not just having it like one and done, which is kind of what I've seen happen in the past with the IIDA headquarters mentorship day, not to any fault of IIDA, but you have this, you go through all those efforts, you put these people together, and then sometimes like I can think of students that I mentored that we have not kept in touch. I don't know where they are. I don't know what they're doing at this point. So just making sure it's more of a sustainable relationship and you're meeting multiple times, or we're setting a platform where people can interact on multiple occasions. So our chapter is right now working along with ASID and NEWH to come up with a program that's going to last for a year, where there's opportunities for mentors and students or aspiring professionals to all come together in a virtual platform and to have more sustaining conversations. So it's not just one day and done, and introducing some like workshops where we can have someone speak to students about presentation skills and public speaking and things that are a little bit outside of what typically happens when they come and shadow you for a day in your office and they're like so afraid they don't even want to move from a chair. So just having things that happen on a more sustainable level. So that again ties back into this buzzword of resiliency. But I'm like over here adding people on LinkedIn so I can like make a note that, hey, we're starting our mentor program. Would you like to get involved? Or if you can't get involved on this day, there's the whole schedule of all the times we're going to be meeting. Pick some times you can get involved and let's walk the walk and talk the talk.
You know, the other thing that I think is really important and making it be more of a personal connection. Somebody earlier was talking about not being afraid to ask questions. And sometimes I think the mentoring day becomes a very choreographed day. You're going to meet with this person, learn about something, and go sit with this person and learn about something else. But if we're having face-to-face conversations like this, it's something where someone's not afraid to reach out, even if it's just for advice on something. You know, I'm preparing for an interview and, you know, what kind of questions should I be ready for, or whatever kind of practice or guidance may be needed. If it's something that, you know, the person wants to be there to be responsive and assist you however they can and share their experience, it's a good thing.
For sure.
I also feel like this.
Did Shannon freeze for anybody else?
Okay, woo, waiting for somebody else to say it, but yeah, she did.
Was it me?
Shelly, I see you have to run, but thank you so much for joining us. Okay, yeah, Shannon is definitely frozen. And I know we're getting towards the end of our time here, so I was curious to see what she's going to say. So we can kind of wrap it up. Well, while she's hanging in Zoom limbo, I will slide a little plug in here for those who aren't already pursuing IIDA membership. Like a great way to get involved or to help push along some of these ideas is to be involved as a member. You can check out the brand new spanking website. There's a lot of options that can help with financial struggles is not the right word, but we're all facing various financial things right now. So there's an option where you can pay it off for 6 months, or I think there's a 12-month option as well. So you don't have to pay it all at once. And shout out to all the companies that cover membership for people as well. But I think one way to ensure that these ideas come into action is to become a member, get involved. Just like Monet is saying, we as a chapter board only have but so many ideas as a board because we're, this many brains, but the more people we can kind of bring up and get on this train for making things to come to fruition, the more success we can have. And IIDA, let us be that platform for those ideas to come to reality.
Yeah, and Alex, I think I would chime in to Monet's point earlier too. If you think there's something preventing you from joining as a member or getting involved with the board, let us know what those things are. If it's with membership, email Monet or I. If it's with the board, reach out to Julianne, Alex, anybody on the board. I'm sure they could tell you what they could do to help you with that hurdle. I think Monet brought up just such an awesome point of like, don't let those first couple of no's that you have in your own head stop you from doing this.
Absolutely.
That's something I'm going to really carry with me. I really, really appreciated that and definitely want to hold on to that and want to keep pushing that to people because there's more no's right now than there's ever been. But I bet some of your peers and some other people could help you with the first 3 or 4 you think of, and then maybe you could get involved, or maybe you could jump into a committee or a board moment.
And there's so many ways to get involved. So if people are nervous because of time commitments, I don't have that kind of time, or I have that, there's like a board position does not have to be an option. There's committees, we have liaisons, we have people that are just involved because you want to be involved. You don't have to have a title associated with it. If you're passionate about what we do as a profession, if you're passionate about bringing along students up and young aspiring professionals, if you have accomplished all these wonderful things, you want to reach back and bring somebody along, let us be that platform for that to happen. There's no pressure.
Yeah, Julianne's been killing it in the chat with the links. So if you need anything, just go there.
And we'll send a nice little recap email after this, and we'll recap some of Monet's wonderful points. I've been taking like captures of everything you've been posting up there with your just last minute thoughts and stuff, and we'll recap some of these links. And again, we are more than here. Everybody's on their computer. Send an email. Send a LinkedIn message, Facebook message, like whatever. Like you can get in touch with everybody because we're all looking at our screens so much now. It's the time.
Yep, please do reach out to us. Use IIDA as your resource. We are here for each other. We're all in the same community. We're a huge family. So lean on us and we'll lean on you guys as well. So thank you all for being here today.
Absolutely. I know Shannon said she's trying to get back on. We're gonna give her like 2 minutes, and if not, we're going to just wrap this bad boy up and move on. I'm sure everybody's got plenty of things to get done to kick off this weekend. Any other thoughts or questions for Monet or for Ryan?
Let us know what you thought about the breakfast boxes. It was a fun little way to try to keep up our Benefactor Breakfast tradition this year. It's not something we've ever done before for an event. So if anyone has any feedback, we'd love to hear it. It's a catering company that we love and have used for tons of in-person events. But this was our first.
That was really great. It must have been a tremendous effort to coordinate to deliver breakfast to every single person attending, but it was really great. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it got very creative.
Yeah, it was a really nice touch.
Thank you.
We know Zoom fatigue is real, so whatever we can do to lure you here.
I have to admit that because it came yesterday, my family dug into it. So, of course it was gone. It was gone by 11 o'clock last night. It's a free for all. But thank you. It was great. It was just fun even opening it.
So I guess a note would be next time send them with locks on them so that way people can't get into them.
No, it's a bonus. It's a nice thing. I was happy that they're happy.
We'll have to see how much those boxes will cost. Ryan, we'll look at our budget to see.
Yeah, just let me know. Yeah, it's a cool idea.
Be one of those number locks, and the code to unlock is IIDA member number.
Yeah, it can be the same code as the Zoom entry code, so that way you don't have to learn 2 different things.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Deb.
Yeah, I don't know if Shannon's getting back on, but Monet, Ryan, thank you. Oh, here she is. Okay, good. I won't steal her thunder. I'll let her wrap it up. This is Shannon's first Benefactor Breakfast, so kudos to all of her efforts.
Yeah, she did an amazing job.
Shannon, we're starting to wrap things up.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Sorry. My internet went out. Yelling at the cable guy right now.
Any last thoughts from you? Yeah.
No. But I just wanted to thank everyone for attending this event and also having this Q&A. I think it's really helpful for us all to move forward. And also I think it just makes us realize how much membership is actually very important. I think especially for students, I wish I had been a member of some kind of organization when I was back in college, and I probably would be a lot farther ahead than I am now. But knowing what I know now, I think it's for us to encourage others and younger and students, designers, to be members. And so I would encourage all of you as well, if you are not members of IIDA, especially IIDA, to become members this coming year. And also, if you are not a sponsor and you work for a manufacturer, or you can possibly talk to a principal of your firm, I would encourage all of you to reach out to me when you get a chance, or I'm going to reach out to everyone as well just to thank you, but become a sponsor this year as well. Just like what Monet said, become a sponsor. It really helps us to be able to reach out to our students, as we said, for advocacy, for professional development. Your contribution matters. So thanks.
And Julianne, could you drop the dates for our upcoming Virtual Design Awards event? Oh, you're on mute.
There we go. Yes. So Design Awards this year is in December and will be virtual. It's on December 16th. Project submission deadline just passed, but general admission tickets are going to go on sale. I'm posting a link to a page on our website where we have links to everything about our Design Awards event, when it's going to be coming up. And I know that the team is working on fun ways to have that be, again, not just like a normal
Another Zoom call. So if you want to see our faces again next month, here we are. We'll see you at the Design Awards.
All are welcome.
Okay, everyone have an inspired Friday and a great weekend.
Yes. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Bye, Monet.